That right there is the 2018 Jaguar XF-S Sportbrake, which means it's a wagon. And coming up next, I'm going to tell you what's good, what's bad, and what's weird. I'm a pretty positive person, so let's just start out with the good stuff first. And number one thing on that list is the looks. I mean, just take a look at it. There are two other vehicles in this class that are worth mentioning when talking about the Jaguar XF Sportbrake. Those are, of course, the Volvo V90 T6 all-wheel drive and the Mercedes E400 4MATIC wagon. Continuing our list of what's good, we have the cargo space. Now, this is actually class leading in its segment. In total, it has 69.7 nice cubic feet of space. And you're gonna be asking yourself, Mike, why is there a microwave in the back of this Jaguar? Well, compared to its big brother, the F-Pace, this XF-S Sportbrake actually has only 1.8 cubic feet less of cargo volume with the seats folded down. Now, as it just so happens, 1.8 cubic feet happens to be about the size of the average microwave on the inside. The last good point that I want to bring up is actually the driving experience, because all in all, it's a great place to be, this Jaguar. Now, the first reason for that is this engine. It's a 3-liter supercharged V6 that you see in a lot of Land Rover Jaguar products. This one makes 388 horsepower and 332 pound-feet of torque. And that brings us to the next good thing, which is the transmission. It's an 8-speed, it's very smooth, and I have these paddles that are pretty responsive. When you put it into sport mode, they downshift nicely and upshift very nicely as well. It's all smooth, it's all pleasant. And then the last thing connecting all this together is the all-wheel drive system. Now, Jaguar uses a rear bias all-wheel drive system. Overall, it's just a great place to be. There's good power from the engine. Let me show you, hold on. Well, you got to take the good with the bad, and this is the first real issue with this car. It's the gas mileage. Now, this Jaguar gets 18 in the city, 25 on the highway for a combined rating of 21. According to the EPA, in our week with the car, we've only been able to average about 18.6. On to my next issue with the Jaguar, it's the infotainment system. Now, it's not bad to look at, it's just kind of a bummer to mess around with. I think this shows itself the best when you go to the climate control. So you can see down here there's a bunch of buttons, but that's actually not all the buttons you need to do everything with the climate control. You have to go up into the climate button. I turned it off so it didn't sound too loud, but then you can turn it on again, and this is how you sync up the driver and passenger temperature control zones. But then there's all this stuff down here, so it's just kind of confusing. Do you go up there? Do you go down here? Up there, down here, up there, down here? Now, there's some really bad news about this Jaguar, and that is the price. Starting price on this one is $70,045, which is a huge jump from the other two competitors we mentioned. The Volvo is the cheapest one, starting at just around $57,000, and the Mercedes is a little bit more expensive from there at $63,000. Now, there's a good reason for that, and it's because the Jaguar comes with a bit more stuff standard from the factory, but if you wanted to get the Mercedes with the same level of equipment, it would cost you about 75 grand. The Volvo, on the other hand, to get the same amount of stuff, you'd only need to spend about 60 grand in total. Supple. Now, as you can see, we've found the last problem with the Jaguar, and it's the rearward visibility. Now, it looks great from the outside, but this sloping roof kind of makes for a pretty tiny back window, and when you're trying to look behind you, it's a bit of a problem. So one of the first weird things on this XF Sportbrake is this moonroof. It's a giant piece of glass, but the strange thing about it is that it doesn't actually open. There's a shade that goes back and forth, but the piece of glass itself is fixed in place. Now, if you stare long enough at this 3-liter supercharged V6, you'll notice it's kind of large, and you'd be right to notice that it's large because this actually started its life as a V8 block. This Jag is just full of strange surprises. If you open up the little hatch to get to the spare tire, you'll find that it's a bright red spare rim. The last weird thing I want to point out is that there's a lot of stuff that moves around in this interior. For example, when you start the car, the little shift dial pulls up and the AC vents actually fold out of their little hiding spots. This is really something that only Jaguar and Land Rover do, and so it's just kind of unique. Well, there you go. That's what's good, what's bad, and what's weird about the 2018 Jaguar XF Sportbrake. But I think this begs the question, are wagons making a comeback in the US? Now, over the past couple years, automakers like Volvo, Mercedes, Jaguar, Buick, and some more are bringing wagons back to the US after somewhat of a hiatus. Now, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to come back to tflcar.com for more news, views, and good, bad, weird reviews just like this one. Have a good one, guys.